Well, we've received a lot of messages from viewers asking us to talk about Waterloo Regional Police's recent announcement to start doing mandatory alcohol screening at every traffic stop they do. So, even though we've talked about this before, not in Waterloo Region context, but in context of other police forces, I'm going to revisit that today just because lots of viewers have been asking about it. Hello, my name's Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. So before we get into the topic at hand, I just wanted to announce that next week, at the same time, 6:45 on Wednesday, I will be doing a live stream. So I hope a bunch of you will join us. I hope a lot more of you will join us than joined us for Maxime Bernier's visit last week. But there were enough. There were some questions at the end. I was talking on my own, not completely to myself, because there were some questions and there was some interest expressed by the people who were there for me to do a follow-up live stream where it's just me and you can ask your questions. So we're going to give that a try, and if next week works well, we'll do it again in August, and if that goes well, maybe we'll start doing that as a more regular thing, although we'll probably change what day of the week we do that, but we've been thinking of changing up when Don't Talk TV goes on air anyway, because Wednesdays at 6:45 doesn't seem to be as popular as it once was. But anyway, tune in next week for a live stream. You can ask me whatever questions you want, and hopefully it'll be an interesting time. Now, going to the situation of Waterloo Regional Police, I'm not going to put up a screenshot. I know you've all seen it because people have been asking about it, but Waterloo Regional Police have recently jumped on the bandwagon of the OPP and the Saskatchewan RCMP, saying that they're going to do mandatory roadside screening device tests of anyone they pull over. So a lot of people have been asking about that. Now, as I said in the preamble, this has been covered before. Saskatchewan RCMP are the ones who kicked this off, and I talked about that in episode 198. So I highly recommend you go and look at that episode for a more in-depth analysis, because I've already done it before. So not inclined to go through it in depth again. We'll do a summary here though. You can also look at episodes 32 and 33, where I talk about ride programs. Some of the same principles apply. And I talked about some of the changes that came to the criminal code in Bill C-46 back in June of 2018, where they made it a crime to drink after driving. So check that out, because it's important to know what you could possibly get in trouble for. Like, literally, you check out episode 32. If you went home, started watching a game, 2 hours into the game, you're drinking some beers, police show up, they could charge you for having driven 2 hours before and then drinking after you got home. So have a look at that. But quick summary of the law as it stands with these mandatory breath tests on any traffic stop. This is actually something that's been in law for years, because that C-46 that I just mentioned, which received royal assent at the exact same time, the 21st of June 2018, as Bill C-45, that was the Cannabis Act. So the legalization of cannabis happened at the same time as vast changes to Canada's impaired driving laws. This is part of a quid pro quo, or a deal that was made with Mothers Against Drunk Driving to secure not their support, but not complete attack on the government if they went ahead and legalized cannabis. So this is kind of a bone that was given to them. They made our drunk driving laws, or not just drunk driving, impaired driving laws, much stricter. In my view, more draconian, but more importantly, much less respectful of our time-honored and cherished civil liberties. So one piece of that is the law allowed for the police to just make anyone blow into a breathalyzer without any reason. Previously, they had to have a reasonable suspicion that you had alcohol in your body. Now, they don't need anything. Just by the mere fact of pulling you over, they could give you that breathalyzer test. Now, this has never been used until now, so most people, that's why it's a surprise to them. 2018 was 6 years ago, so people are surprised, why is this coming up now? As I understand it, believe that the Crown Attorneys told the police not to use this law because they knew, or they shared the opinion that I have, that this is totally unconstitutional and it's not going to pass constitutional scrutiny, so they didn't want to be losing cases. But for whatever reason, police have decided to go and do this. I don't know whether that was in consultation with Crown Attorneys or they just decided to do it on their own. But as I say, first the Saskatchewan RCMP said they were going to do it. Then the Ontario OPP, they decided, okay, we're going to do it too if they're going to do it. And now Waterloo Regional Police is getting in on it as well. So my view is it is illegal, as I've said. And I can't wait to get a case where they do a random screening and that results in a charge, and then I can challenge it. Now, that said, there's going to be thousands, if not millions, of people who get pulled over, subject to these tests, and they blow zero, or they pass, and they're allowed on their merry way. But they've still had their civil liberties infringed, and I hope some of those people consider calling a lawyer and considering civil action, because I think that's really the only way this is going to stop, is if civil actions start happening and courts start making rulings that this is a no-go. Although that may work somewhat, but in my experience, the only thing that really gets the police to change their behavior is when they lose cases. Because it's not their money if you sue them. It's your money that they're giving back to you, taxpayer money. So the thing that really burns police is when a charge gets thrown out. I don't think they really care that much about money. I don't think it even comes from their budget. But even if it did, again, it's not their money. Now, what do you do if you get pulled over? I mean, here is Don't Talk TV's recipe for getting as relatively unscathed out of a traffic stop as possible, not getting beaten up, reducing your chances of being arrested, or at least wrongfully arrested. So, number one, you're pulled over, you're driving a car. That means you're doing a licensed activity. That means you must identify yourself. So, I recommend that you have your windows rolled down so the police can clearly see you. There's no legal requirement for you to do that, but it's just going to put everyone at a little bit of ease. It costs you nothing, but it puts the police more at ease. That's going to make your ride an easier one right from the get-go. You play the sovereign citizen games of the window open just a crack, and I don't need to talk to you. You're going to get a more difficult ride. Now, I mean, that's your right to do, but I'm just saying, practically speaking, you're going to get a rough ride if you do that, or potentially a rougher ride. Windows down, police can see you, they know you're not hiding anything, as in you're not hiding weapons or anything like that. Things are going to go smoother. But you do have to give them your identification, your driver's license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance. Because if you don't, you'll get tickets for failing to do those things, or arrested. So you have to do that. But beyond that, number two, you don't have to talk to them about anything else. Now, there may be certain situations where tactically it's to your advantage to talk to them, and I'll talk about that in another episode. But for now, aside from identifying yourself and showing that you have a license to do this licensed activity, you do not have to speak to them any further than that, and you can just choose to remain silent. Part of 1 and 2 is number 3, and that's just don't be a jerk. I mean, there's just no value to that. Now, people always say, well, they're not respecting my rights, they're being jerks. Well, that still doesn't help anything for you to escalate things by being a jerk, and I always like the saying from Marcus Aurelius that the best revenge against your enemies is to be unlike them. So there's no reason for you to, if you feel the officer's not being respectful to you, there's no reason for you to not be respectful to them. But that said, maybe we can talk more next week. We'll see how many people tune in and what sort of questions people ask. But again, as I said at the beginning of this episode, we're going to try a live stream. It's just me and the viewers, so I hope a bunch of you will join in so I have people to talk to rather than I'm just talking to my camera the whole evening. We'll probably do half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on how many people tune in and how many questions you have and if we've got a good discussion going. But please check that out. Otherwise, this video, we've had some legal advice in it, generalized legal advice, but for legal advice you can really rely on, you need something specific to your personal circumstances. So you need a lawyer where you can meet and have that more detailed discussion. You can call me or another lawyer. My contact information is listed below. If you have show topics you'd like to see us cover, please leave a comment in the comment section or send an email to the email address listed below. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media.